What's up guys, Paul from Paul Sklar X Fit. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a former Division I track and field athlete and #2 ranked professional duathlete in the United States. I also hold a BS, and that does not stand for in health and exercise science from Wake Forest University. Today, I want to go over the difference between barbells and dumbbells. Is one better than the other? Today we're going to do a deep dive into the pros, the cons, the differences, and finally try to settle the debate on which is better. Let's get started with the barbell bench press. Pros: you can lift technically and theoretically more weight with a barbell bench press compared to a dumbbell chest press. Why is that? You've got surface area here you're working bilaterally with so that you can end up pushing more weight against a more stable surface. I can take this bar and I can stretch it out on the way down and I can squeeze it center on the way up. So the biggest advantage to using a barbell as opposed to a dumbbell is that you could lift more weight with the barbell. And that means over time, more weight, more stimulation to the chest muscles, and theoretically, a bigger chest. Now the barbell chest press is typically a little bit easier to progressively overload. You can add increments of 2.5 pounds each time, 5 pounds each time, 10 pounds. So there are smaller increments that you can add to it so that you can progressively overload it. Now the reason that most people typically gravitate towards the barbell bench press first is because it is much more stable and it's an easier entry, as opposed to dumbbells that are less stable, much harder to control. The barbell bench press is easier to control, especially for beginners. Now, speaking of barbells, before we get to the cons of barbells, and there are quite a few, I want to let you all know quickly that I just partnered with Barbell Apparel for my own exclusive Paul Sklar X Fit clothing line. 2 of my favorite workout shirts, 2 of my favorite workout shorts, tons of colors, different hem sizes for the shorts. Can't beat them. Check them out. The link is in the description below. Now to the cons. And I would say the biggest con of the barbell bench press is that you're locked into a specific position wrist-wise and shoulder-wise. Typically, you want the barbell to come down towards the middle of the chest. Now that means if the barbell comes down towards the middle of the chest, if you have lack of flexibility in one shoulder, hypermobility in the other, you may have trouble with one side coming down and following the opposite side. So I'm really locked into position, which means I'm putting a little bit more stress on the tendons and muscle because there's no leeway. Once you're locked in, you are locked in. One of the biggest complaints that I hear people make when doing the barbell bench press is that they feel an unusual amount of stress in the shoulders sometimes. And that is due to the position of the barbell and the wrists. Now, one more thing about being locked in with the barbell bench press. You lose the ability to bail out if you get into trouble and you don't have a spotter. If I come down to my chest with the barbell and I can't push up, what do? Couple of options, obviously. If you're not collared up, you can dump the weights from side to side. If you are collared up and you're completely stuck and you're screaming for help and no one's coming, you're gonna have to roll that down. And good luck having children if you actually get that all the way down to your thighs. Now on to the dumbbells. The biggest pro to using dumbbells is the ability to change your wrist position and elbow position. If you have any type of limitation in the shoulder with regards to mobility or strength, the dumbbell is most likely going to be your best option. Instead of having your hands in a fixed position, you now have the ability to turn them. So you can turn them 45 degrees, you can turn them 90 degrees, whatever works best for your anatomy. You also have the potential for more range of motion. With the barbell comes down to the chest. Theoretically, if I had more mobility in my shoulders and I had the ability to come down further, I could not do that with the barbell. You can, however, do that with the dumbbells. So range of motion can be increased and it also can be decreased. You also have the ability to go laterally or medially, depending on your anatomy. Typically, the further out you go with a chest press, the more chest engagement you get, the closer, the more triceps engagement. In my opinion, the dumbbells give you more versatility. You have more positions, more angles. You can change the tension depending on where you want to have it on the pecs. So there is more leeway with the dumbbells. Another benefit is that you have the ability to work unilaterally. And this gets into symmetry. A lot of people talk about having one pec bigger than the other, and with a traditional barbell bench press, you work bilaterally and you have two arms working at the same time, potentially having one side work harder than the other. With dumbbells, you get to work unilaterally. That means one arm at a time. So that can actually compensate for muscle imbalances. So if you're concerned about symmetry, most likely dumbbells are going to be the way to go for you. Now, I talked about the potential inability to bail out on a barbell chest press. You have a much better ability to bail out using dumbbells. So if you get to the bottom portion of your chest press and you start to push and the dumbbells don't move, you have the ability to drop them to the sides gently with very little risk for injury. Now, there are only a few cons that I can think of when it comes to using dumbbells. Number one, you typically cannot lift as much as you can with a barbell. And anyone who's done barbell chest press versus dumbbell chest press knows exactly what I'm saying. You typically will lift a little bit less with dumbbells because you don't have a stable surface to push against. They could go left, they could go right, they could go forwards, and they can go backwards as well. So you don't have that real stable surface, that barbell to push against to keep it in a nice linear pattern. Fairly simple, again, very low risk for injuries. However, if you are towards the top of your chest press and you really start to fail and your rotator cuff starts to go, the dumbbell can come in towards your body. And if it comes in and hits you in the chest, or if it hits you in the face if you're out of position, potential catastrophic injury. You don't want that. If you're towards the top of your chest press and you know you're about to fail, don't wait to the point where that dumbbell comes in towards your body. Here or here, bad. Out here, good. And learning bailout techniques comes with practice. You have to understand your body, understand its limits, and understand when to bail out and when to push through. Now, as a side note, I want to go back to what I said with number one in cons. Even though you may be able to lift less weight with dumbbells, you still have extreme muscular recruitment in the pecs. It doesn't mean because you're lifting a little bit less on the dumbbells that you won't get just as much, if not more, benefit from the dumbbell than you would from the barbell. So don't necessarily be concerned with weight, be concerned with challenge, and be concerned with contraction. All right, so now we've gone over all of the pros and all of the cons of using dumbbells versus barbells. So the big question is, what should you use? Now, I personally use a mix of both. And honestly, it depends on the individual. If you're more comfortable using dumbbells, use dumbbells. If you're more comfortable using barbells, use barbells. But in my professional opinion, I would recommend switching them out. So maybe one week work with dumbbells, the next week work with barbells. You can split the week up into two different parts, dumbbells at the beginning, barbells towards the end. It really doesn't make much of a difference. Pay attention to what works for your body. Don't worry about everyone else. It really only matters what works for you. So then the question arises, how do you know what works best for you? For instance, if you're using dumbbells and you're getting a great contraction and you don't have any pain anywhere and you're really feeling the exercise, feeling the contraction, that's working for you right now. Now, if you switch, say, to a barbell curl and all of a sudden your form is off, maybe your wrist hurts, maybe your elbow hurts, that tells you that that is not for you, at least on that particular day. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all the next time.